Cheques play. Let's do this. Hi, I'm Bruce Harris.
Yeah, Rana, I'm Hina Reed.
Hello, I'm Miguel Mora, and welcome to Cheques Play.
Check play. Check play.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Check play. I'm still celebrating my birthday.
Well, you should. It should be, well, your age, it should be the entire year.
Was that nice? Was that something? Did she say something nice to me, Miguel?
Huh?
Yeah.
Was that nice? She said.
Look, I'm owning my decade, so as far as I'm concerned, I am partying the entire year.
Check play. I think that was like a left-handed compliment or some shit that I.
No, I say at our age, we don't just get a birthday or a birthday weekend or a birthday week.
Sipping on some bud.
Whole year.
Okay.
A whole year.
Okay, welcome. Hey, what's happening? Hey, Miguel, what's going on? We made it through the storm, didn't we?
We made it through the storm. It was rough, a little rough there for a while.
Really? You didn't have to bunker down?
Hanging around my house. I thought my solar panels were flying away. Thankfully, they held out. But my balcony in the back was aluminum and glass that got all destroyed. They're coming today to replace it. So it was something minor, and some trees, shrubbery around the house that got blown away. So, but we're okay. We were okay.
Yeah, hurricane. What was our hurricane called now? Iona? Fiona. Yeah. I got confused for a minute because Florida's being hit right now. Ian. Unbelievable. I was checking on some folks this morning, and depending on where you live, on the East Coast of Florida or the West Coast, the West Coast is more of the Gulf of Mexico, where Ian it was a category 5 when it was going through Fort Myers, Sarasota area, over 2.5 million people without power there. Total difference from here in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Ours was a category 1.
It got to 2 a little bit, but not for a long time. But when it went through here, it got to 2 for like 15, 20 minutes, and then started diminishing and went back to 1 again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, and the interesting thing, Hina, is that the folks here, and Miguel, you can speak to this. It seems to me that, folks were sending me pictures all of the time. I had just returned from New Jersey here. The first week I got here, it had the storm come in. And, I was a little nervous and so forth, but historically, I just really haven't experienced really major catastrophes. But the folks here were sending me pictures of the areas where they lived, and there was such a big difference. Some were being flooded out with 6 and 7 feet of water, dancing and partying, drinking Presidentes. And at the same time, there were other folks that their homes were on the side of like mountainsides, and they totally lost their home, that they slid down in the mudslides.
Well, Dominicans get prepared for a hurricane. As soon as they announce it, they go to the supermarket, they get the liquor, they get food, they get all the ingredients to make what is called a sancocho, which is kind of like a stew with 3 different types of meat.
Yeah.
And when they get that, they get ready and they make it, and they got the music, they party, they drink. Sometimes Dominicans get disappointed when they say hurricane is coming, and then it veers off. Oh, damn.
Well, it creates jobs. It creates jobs for the cleanup opportunities. They were out here with machetes, knocking down trees and things. But the primary thing, going back to Florida and Ian, I think there's some folks that are experiencing some heavy water damage and flooding, and it's the wind and so forth. But the other thing that people are really cautious of are the storm surges, which are primarily caused by the relationship between the winds and the ocean surface. The water level rises where the winds are strongest. In addition, the water is pushed in the direction of the wind. And so I think they had like we had 150 kilometer winds, which is about 93 miles an hour, but they were up to 150 miles per hour in Florida.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Was twice as strong as here. So, and of course, the house in there is different than here. Here, for instance, we have concrete construction. So I have no problem. I know my house is not going to get blown away. It could be 300 mile an hour wind, my house is gonna stand up. It might rip off a few things out of it, but my house is gonna stand up. So I'm safe inside the house. In the States, it's all wood. So at a certain point, your roof is gonna blow away.
Yeah.
The wall is gonna give in, and your life is in danger when one of these phenomena is coming
Yeah.
through.
And so here at Cheques Play, we continue to pray for those folks out there battling those storms. So today we have this is going to be great. We have Rosemarie Cook. Rosemarie Cook, she is synonymous, is the word I think I'm going to use, in the casino industry. She has been a pioneer and as far as director, vice president of major operations, casino administrator. She's up in New Jersey. She's our guest for today, Rosemarie Cook, better known as Rose, and she's here with us. And let's see if she's going to come in right about now.
Now, does she go by Rose or Rosemarie?
Rose. I'm always careful about that. There she is. Hey,
There.
welcome, Rose.
Aloha, Rose.
Aloha. We're here from all different parts of the world now, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Hina's in sunny, almost sunny in Las Vegas because it's very, very, very early there. It's about 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning there. And thank you for being up so early, Hina. Miguel and I are here in the Caribbean, in the Dominican Republic, and you are in
Outside of Atlantic City in sunny Linwood, New Jersey.
Hey.
Yeah.
You know what? It was interesting because Hina just said, does she go by Rose or Rosemarie? And I'm glad you told me, because I kept saying Rosemarie because all my life is, don't call me Christine, it's Christina.
Oh.
Diane is Diana. So I said, I better say Rosemarie, just to make sure I don't, say the wrong thing. But
Yeah, thanks.
yeah.
It's one of those names that, just like a Christina and a Diana, most of the time people have called it Rosemary, and it's not, it's Rosemarie. So I figured, you know what, if Rose works, I go by that.
Well, welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here with us. It's so good to see you again. It's been so long.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure when I've seen your name everywhere. You've been in so many wheelhouses that have been successful in the industry, Rose. And I've always scratched my head, says, do I know her? Did we work together? And then I checked with someone that we were talking with on our last podcast, Lisa Deary. She worked in Indiana. And I said, was there a Rosemarie Cook on your vessel? She says, no, that was Sue Cook. I says, oh, that's the Cook that I knew. Then you and I spoke, and tell that story.
Yes. So, I kept saying to my husband, I know Bruce. We worked together in Illinois. We worked together at the original Hollywood casino boats, that were run by the Pratt brothers before that name was bought by, Penn National. So, and my husband's like, yeah, that's Bruce. And so then when we spoke, you never mentioned Illinois, and I never saw anything about Illinois.
You asked me, you said, did you work in Illinois? I said, no, I worked in Indiana.
Indiana. No, I opened up, in Indiana. I said, geez, that's just so strange, because I guess it's not you, but I knew a guy named Bruce Harris that, worked with me in Aurora. He goes, oh yeah, no, I worked in Aurora. I said, yeah. So you're the Bruce that Dennis Rodman always had to have on his game.
Yes.
Because we had, we really, it's a funny story. And we had, he would come to play in our casino, and, he came to have fun, and he had his friends with him. And
friends. No, be more descriptive than that, Rose. Yeah. Come on. He had the dancers, all the dancers from the Black. He had all these dancers. There was a strip club called Blackjacks, and they would always pull up in the van. He didn't come up in the limo or helicopter, you would think. He rode in the van with all the dancers, and they would come to the craps table. We would rope off half of the dice table for him, make it for whatever limit, and the other side would be a $5 game.
Yeah, and he didn't care. Just as long as he had his side roped off, and he had his kamikazes, and he had his two Bruces there, to take care of him. He was good.
Now that's the story too. The two Bruces.
The two Bruces. So yeah, Dennis liked two particular people on his game. He wanted you, and he wanted another Bruce. And the other Bruce was, you know, a Vegas guy, but originally from Chicago and had come back to the area and was working with us. And he'd really been around the block. He knew his stuff.
Newer
And,
stuff. He was a
yeah.
shift manager. He was a shift
Yeah.
manager, right?
He knew his stuff, but he wanted to come back and just, you know, just be in the area. So he would, you know, be on that game. And then, and it's funny, my husband was working there too, and he liked him too. So there was the three of you that would always take care of Dennis and his friends.
Yes. And so this is this episode, if you don't mind, we want to dedicate this to the memory of Bruce King is his name.
Yeah.
Dennis referred to him as Pink Bruce, and I was
Pink
Black.
Bruce.
I was Black Bruce. I
You
didn't
were
really.
Black Bruce.
You brought that. That was totally gone from my mind. I forgot all about that. But the story with Bruce was that when Rose and I were speaking about doing the podcast, Rose was explaining the story, and I says, "Oh, I had heard that Bruce passed away several years ago." Rosemarie responded that no, Bruce is alive and well. In fact, it's going to be great when we get finished talking. I'm going to call him right away to let him know that she spoke to me. And what happened after that, Rose?
Well, yeah, this is a true story. It is unbelievable. If it didn't happen, I would maybe wonder if I was, you know, telling the truth, but I'm telling the truth. So yeah, we had a whole conversation, you and I, about Bruce King and Pink Bruce, because Dennis laughed because he was a super pale white guy. So he almost had that like pinkish tone to him. So he was Pink Bruce. So it's every year we've never left touch. Every year we have a conversation around Christmas. It's, you know, it's our annual conversation. And, you know, when you said you had heard he passed away, I'm like, no way. I talked to him at Christmas, and I'll be talking to him again.
Great.
Yes. You know, he's got his daughter and his wife, and he retired, and he's living in Southern Illinois, and everything's good. So, you know, so I went outside to tell Don, you know, that I had just spoken with you, and, you know, it is you and everything. And I came back in, and the phone rang, and it was an Illinois number. And I, you know, I picked it up, and it was Bruce's daughter.
Same day, right?
Same day. I'm talking 10 minutes after we hung up.
Wow.
10 minutes after we hung up. Bruce's daughter called me. Her name is Nicole, and she called to let me know that her father had just passed away. And I was shocked, you know, and I'm devastated, and I couldn't believe that, you know, we had just had a conversation about him. You know, I told her all about it, and, you know, and his wonderful wife, Linda, you know, and our heart goes out to them because, you know, that's just a tough time for them. He wasn't sick long. You know, it happened over a few months' time, and that was just an unbelievable story. It sends chills through me.
Still,
How did that, you know, how we were just talking about him? I really believe that somehow or another, you know, his spirit sent a message to his family to say, you better let Rose know. Don't forget to tell her.
I could hear his voice. I could hear the tone of his voice speaking as us laughing. And here's a quick story about the thing with Dennis. The reason why he distinguished gave us the designation Pink Bruce and Black Bruce, because he says, "Where's Bruce?" And we both would show up, or which one are you talking about? He says, "Well, the black one, you know, or the pink one, you know." And but Dennis it was just a madhouse. And once again, this is dedicated to the memory of Bruce King.
Yeah.
And so the thing was, so he's on the table. So I'm sized up. So I was the peacemaker, because Dennis had antics. You know, he would show up in pajamas. You know, he would go to the shoot-arounds or Mr. Shoot-arounds, because this was 95, 96 during the championship era. 97. And so, and with Carmen Alexa, he would had her and stuff with her, and different situations. But the story I really remember, and for his daughter and his wife to remember also, I think they would get a laugh out of this. So Bruce comes to me, he says, "Bruce, do me a favor, get an autograph for me. It's for my brother. It's for somebody that was really near and dear to him." He says, "He loves Dennis Rodman. Get me an autograph." I says, "I can't get him an autograph." You know? He says, "Yeah, get it." I said, "Okay." So I go up to Dennis and he's fired up. Dennis is coming. It's kamikaze time. It's kamikaze time. It's just wild and stuff. He had his brothers with him, his stepbrother, Billy. I don't know if you remember Billy. He was he was really tough to manage because he was out of his mind. So I go to Dennis. I said, Dennis, do me a favor. Pink Bruce wants an autograph. He says, man, get out of here. I can't give an autograph. Look, all these, I want to give it to you, but look, all the people here, they're all going to want an autograph. I says, oh, don't worry. Hold on. So I leave and I got a clipboard, piece of paper. I said, Bruce, give me a piece of paper. Where do you want the autograph? And he gave it to me. I put it on the clipboard. I says, Dennis, here, sign this. Give me an autograph like you're signing a marker. Nobody's going to know. He says, oh, okay. And he signed it. He says, oh, okay, Mr. Bruce. He called me Mr. Bruce also. He's, okay, Mr. Bruce. He signed it. I gave it to Bruce. Bruce like hugged me. And he was like so happy. It was like, I don't know whose Christmas present it was going to be, but that was a big thing to get Dennis Rodman's autograph. So that was interesting that we connected that way again, Rose. Yeah. And you've been a person now that we reconnected. Now I go back to, I've seen your name, Borgata, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. You were my daughter's boss at Sugar House.
Yes. Yes.
Where did this all come from? When I left Hollywood, what were you doing when I left Hollywood?
Well, when I went out to, so I started at resorts, opened up resorts, and I was a teacher. And, it was President's Day weekend. And my neighbor, he was headed over for an interview for the Resorts Dealer School. And I said, well, I don't have anything going on. I'm off today. I'll go with you. And I went over there and I was just hanging out, looking at everything. They had like a display of, mannequins with uniforms on, and they did a real nice display.
Wow.
Because this was all new to the area. Mm-hmm. And he had his interview and I was just hanging around and somebody came up to me and said, oh, are you here for an interview? And I said, no, I'm just here with a friend. And they said, well, you're here. Why don't you interview? And I was like, well, okay. I figured, well, I could, use a summer job. I'm a teacher. Back then they weren't, making a whole lot of money. And I thought that'd be a neat summer job. So, so I had the interview and wound up getting in the dealer school, went through the dealer school, and started when resorts opened, and I fell in love with it. Every day was insanity, and especially back then, but you worked really hard, but you had a lot of fun, and, it was scary and exciting and all those things that go with it. And, and I just stayed with it all these years. So from there, I went and opened up Bally's Park Place in '79. Caesars opened before that, but I really wanted, a lot of people jumped and went there as a supervisor, but I felt like I wanted to deal a little bit longer and really kind of, try to understand things better, get more games under my belt. So then I opened up a Park Place and I stayed there for 13 years. I mean, again, great. It was a great company. Billy Weinberger would come in and walk around and talk to everybody. It was just nice. I met some great people there. It's funny, we were talking about a little bit earlier, we were talking about how people, we met a lot of mean people along the way, if you will, yes. But I think, they came from a background that was so strict and regulated and, and there was so much going on. And then they had to deal with all of us who had no clue what we were doing, so it was very restrictive then. And everybody was very, hard on everybody. And then I met a man named Jack Maxheimer, and he was running the Baccarat pit at Bally at opening. And, we never really had mentors. There wasn't a mentorship program back then or anything like that, like some companies have now, which is a great thing. But so what you did was, if you really wanted to understand it and learned it, you found somebody on your own that you thought, you might like to model yourself after. You watched people, right? This is a business of watching people. Like that's what we do. And I don't care what department you're in, watching people. It's a business of watching people. And so if you like people watching, this is a great industry for you. This is it.
You see.
Yeah, you see. And I mean, it's almost like you get an honorary degree in sociology,
internally and externally.
Yeah. In this, so Jack was he was one of those people that knew exactly what he was doing, had good confidence in what he had going on, but he also treated people very well. He was, he wasn't one of those put the hammer down on you. And I thought, wow, look at that. You can do this and be nice about it too,
Mhm.
which was great because I needed help with that. I was very, I could tell you I was very strict. And not intentionally. I just thought that's the way it was supposed to be. And I think part of that too comes from being inexperienced and not really having confidence in yourself or knowing your job. And so as time goes on, and like I said, I got to meet someone that I could emulate, that I could see and model myself after. And to this day, we're still in touch. Jack lives in Las Vegas, and we stay in touch all these years later. He's just been great. So,
Awesome.
but
Awesome.
yeah, and it takes time. It takes
Mhm.
time, and it takes people like him, or a couple other people that point out to you, hey, it's okay. You can relax a little bit, and
But
still do
on that note, and when you said that, it made me think, and guys thought of this too, that when you said that, it reminded me of an experience I had at a property opening. And the person that became the director had only been a floor person for maybe less than a year, and then never a pit manager, and got kind of fast tracked into the position of being a director or shift manager rather.
Mhm.
Mean as you would not believe. And because of what you just said, because the insecurity part,
Mhm.
always tight, always on, and then wind up getting the director's position, but it finally caught up with them.
We all seen those kind of people, Bruce, that they come in and they believe that by pushing people, they're going to make them better. No, 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 no. You have to come in and be nice to people. You have to instruct them on what you need them to do. Because as Rose says, that's what she thought it was, because all the Nevada guys came in and they were hardliners,
Yeah.
most of them. So she thought that's the way you had to be. And then a person that she met came along, and she realized that you didn't have to be like the other guys. You can be nice. You can be instructive to people. You can tell them what you want to do in a nice way, and they will do it for you. I had many instances when I was a baccarat dealer. There were some supervisors that were hardliners, and I had my own way of getting back to them. Like a heavy game, and when a lot of people got up at the same time when the shoe broke, Miguel, what did that guy have? I don't know.
You said that last time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
That was my own way. But if you're nice to me, I'm going to help you. And if you're nice to me, you're going to get my nice side. And if you're rough to me, you're going to get my rough side. And that's the way it works.
You don't have a rough side, Miguel.
I
You
do.
keep saying that you don't have a rough side. Okay, you're like this short guy that wants to be tall, geez.
You've never seen it. That's what you say, because I try to treat people the same way I want people to treat me. So as long as that happens, and remember, we spend more time sometimes at work than at home. When we get home, we're tired, we have dinner at home. Those of us who are lucky enough to work at that time, you have dinner with the kids, you help them out a little bit, and then you got to go to bed because you got to get up the next day and go back there. If you work at night, then you don't see most of your family. So most of the time you're spending it at work with your coworkers, and it would be a lot more productive and a lot nicer if there is a symmetry between amongst all of them, and everybody gets along and everybody knows what they're doing. And when the instructions are passed down, if they come down the nice way, everybody's going to do it. If they come in a rough way, you're going to get the guys like who says, why do I have to do that? Just because she wants it like that. But if you explain to people, look, this is what we need to do. The order came down from Rose. Rose says we need to do it this way, this way, this way. As long as you explain it to people, they will understand it. Of course, there's always going to be some people that their main purpose in life is to go the left, go to the left.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to the right, they're going to go to the left. So you can help that. And when you identify people like that, you have to get rid of them. That you have to do. You have to get rid of them because they're going to taint the whole operation. If somebody is hampering your operation in any way, you have to get rid of them. don't leave them there. Don't give them a chance. Give them one chance.
Yeah, it's funny. I learned that, and like you say, openings, right? Opening casinos. So
Mhm.
yes, I opened resorts, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I wouldn't call myself part of the opening team. Was, that's not fair. And I understand that more as I grew in the business and then opened other properties. So
Mhm.
yes, I opened Bally's Park Place, but again, I wouldn't call myself opening team because all I did was show up when I needed to show up and, kind of, learn how to be a supervisor.
Yeah,
And
the plan was in place already. Yeah.
yeah. So the real true, when you really talk about an opening team and all those things, Miguel, when I went to Illinois. And
Mhm.
that's when I was really part of an opening team, starting a school. And one thing I learned there, which is exactly what you're talking about, is try to identify the people that aren't going to make it and do them a favor as well as yourself,
Yes.
and part ways, because you're doing them a favor too. You need to identify quickly who's not going to make it, and make the moves you need to make sure you're successful in your opening, and going forward from there. Because if you leave them in there too long, you're setting them up for further failure. You're setting up your team for failure. You're setting up your property for failure. So, and that's a tough one to learn. And that's a very difficult thing to do in a leadership role.
Mhm.
And to try to get your team, your leadership team, to understand that piece, because you're busy hiring people that are, once you've learned like what kind of culture you want to build, now you're busy hiring that type of leadership team. And so when you get that good cultural group in there for the culture of the company, then they're good people, and so a piece of them wants to save everybody.
Mhm.
They just do. They
You,
want
you
to.
you had a lot of good people there in Illinois because that was
Yeah.
all done by the time I got there. That was just a little stopping, like a stop off for me because had just opened a property in Indiana.
Mhm.
And so I was just going through to prepare for another opening, but I didn't tell you guys that, but that's what I was doing.
That's
But
okay.
I was in the dealer position. I was just earning some money and so forth.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty cool. But you had some very seasoned, what I remember about that property, there's two properties that stand out in my mind in my career that were heavy protect the blackjack game knowledge, very prepared how to protect the blackjack game. Because there, if I remember correctly, and correct me please, that there was a big presence of card counters team on that staff
Yes.
there. In other words, people that had the ability to count cards. So when card counters came in and so forth, we did all the right things. Put no miscue entry signs up on the games, and
Yeah. There was a
bring
deep knowledge there.
deep
Yeah.
knowledge, deep
Mhm.
knowledge. I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, that property was fortunate because they were the Pratt family that owned the Sands in Atlantic City. And
Mhm.
so it was in Atlantic City at the time, there really wasn't a lot of movement. There wasn't an opportunity to move up. And
Mhm.
so within opening this property in Illinois, they were able to take people from the Sands,
Mhm.
which I wasn't working at. I was at Bally, but there was a large number of Sands Atlantic City
Mhm.
employees that were able to come out there to Illinois and get a promotion, and they were smart and they were
Smart.
talented. They were
Yep.
talented.
Yes, they were. Knew how to party too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So
what's that?
so we had that.
Fox on the river.
Yeah, yeah. We had there was a lot going on there. So, and it
That's
was
what the party,
interesting. Yeah,
that's
it
what
was
the
the
party
first.
was called, Fox on the
Yeah.
River.
That was one of the little
Tavern.
places, taverns that, yeah.
We didn't want
Okay.
to say that. We didn't want to say that. It was the place that it was like
It was the local hangout.
it was no, it was like part of the think tank, the think tank. We would go there. We
Green Point.
do a lot of,
Okay.
do a lot of
Yeah.
thinking there.
Tank.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. So, and that was a great experience because,
Mhm.
having always worked on a land-based casino and then all of a sudden going out to the riverboat operation, I learned so much. I went out there as a shift manager, and there, again, great crew. You know, I learned from them. You know, we got to share our knowledge and our different ways of doing things, and then put that together into one way for that property. It was the first twin riverboat operation to open in the state of Illinois. And again, this wasn't like a big river. The Fox River was pretty small. So, you know, we used to joke, you know, man overboard would be like, okay, well, stand up.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you fell over, just stand up, you're good.
And help her keep going.
Yeah, and they would, you know, we didn't go far down the river, but of course, people, you know, it was a completely different experience, right? People would
It was.
want to get off the boat. They'd fake a heart attack to try to bring the boat back to the dock, or jump off the side and swim to the shore. Because, yeah, again, it was a small river. It wasn't far. Yeah, it was interesting. You know, it's all changed now. It's all dockside, but.
So, but Rose, when did it, I mean, you became the shift manager, but like I said, you were in a lot of wheelhouses as the leader of these opportunities up until like right now, currently still, you know, that's why it's such an honor for you to be here. So what were the challenges of for you being a lady female? Because back then, when you were the shift manager, there weren't many female shift managers that I could remember. And then especially going into the director's role, you may have been one of the first that I remember.
Yeah, I think it was nice at Hollywood Casino. I really, really honestly lucked out, kind of fell into it. I was a shift manager. We were very busy and, you know, learning a lot. And there was an opportunity for an assistant casino manager. And I got promoted into that. So that was very exciting for me. And I was starting to learn that whole other side. Because, you know, you're always in the operation day to day, and there's so much more to it. And so I was starting to learn that other side. And the director that I was working under, he took another opportunity, so he left. Well, I wasn't in the role very long, so I definitely didn't feel that I was ready for, you know, a director spot. And so, which neither did the, you know, the general manager at the time, which was fine with me. I think we were both in agreement. I still wanted to learn more. And so he brought in somebody else, and that person was, you know, again, somebody who was knowledgeable and had a lot, you know, I felt like I could learn from, and, you know, I was looking forward to that. But then that person, I guess, decided you know, they thought they wanted to move out there to Illinois, but ultimately when they got there, they realized that you know, it wasn't for them. They needed to, you know, they needed to come back to the Atlantic City area. It just, you know, family things and stuff like that. So, so they left, and that's how I got the job. And it became one of those, well, you know, okay.
By default.
Yeah, by default. And that's the truth, you know.
You were good too, but you don't want to, you know, you don't.
Well, so then you become determined, right? Oh my God, I got this job, and now I have to, you know, figure all this out. And
then you ever feel that, you know, like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing. How am I going to do this? You know, how are people going to look at me? They're going to know I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I've been in that situation before.
Yeah, you do. And but so you just become determined to make it work and figure it out. And, you know, fortunately there was a great team around me, right? Because nobody does this alone. And yeah, and when I talk about teams, I'm talking other departments.
Very,
you know, it's not,
very close.
You cannot make it staying in your little pigeonhole, you know.
No.
You need to understand all the departments, how they work, how they fit together. And being on those boats really helped all of us understand that, because, you know, once that boat leaves the dock, the table game shift manager, you know, on that boat is in charge of the entire boat. They're in charge of every department, you know, with the exception of the boat captain, who ultimately makes decisions on the safety of, you know, the situation.
Sure.
But yes, so you learn, you know, you learn about relationships, right? And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. How do you build those relationships? And how do you get the best out of everybody through those relationships? So so then the slot person left, and a the slot director that came in was also a woman. So it was pretty cool. We were like, trailblazers at the time.
Look at
And
Hina smiling all over. Look at Hina. Come
yeah,
on,
yeah,
Hina. Look at
they,
Hina.
yeah, they
Look at-
even did an article
look
on
at-
us, in, one of the magazines, one of the gaming magazines, because we were, the two female directors, and so we were.
Yeah, it was different. Nobody.
Yeah, it was different.
It was
Yeah.
unheard of.
Yeah, so it was pretty neat. And after 7 years there, I think, we missed family, we missed being back east. One of the hardest things for us growing up around here and around the ocean was not being around the ocean. Especially difficult for my husband. He's a fisherman, and there's not a whole lot of great fishing opportunities out there in the Chicagoland area. So a lot of golf. But not a lot of
and rough winters.
And rough winters.
Rough winters. The winters. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were rough. So, but our children were small when we moved there. They were 3 and 6. So when we decided to come back east, they were very upset because they're like, I don't care where I was born. This is where I grew up. I don't want to leave. So, but they,
We mean Illinois?
Illinois was. Yeah, because they were small when we moved out there, so that was home to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but we moved back here, and it was great. My husband went back to work for Bally. They took him right back. And I thought, let me take a little time here. I'm gonna not work for a little bit, get the kids situated. I actually substitute taught in their school, so I could get a feel for what was going on there. So once I knew they were okay. I actually went back to dealing, and I dealt at Caesars, and it was great. It prepared me for the next thing because while I dealt at Caesars, again, I met some great people there, and then Borgata.
Rose, isn't your viewfinder so much wider open once you experienced the shift manager role, then you went back to dealing?
Yeah.
Then couldn't you see it from the ground floor of what the shift manager or director should see or know about?
Yes. Yeah, it was pretty good.
It's a good feeling, right?
My girlfriend had said to me, she said, and she was a very wise woman. She said, that's good. You're going back to deal. Don't think of yourself as a dealer. Think of yourself as a manager who happens to be dealing. And that's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Bruce, so you think of it like that, and you get to hone your skills on a dealer level once again, because you're back to doing it, and you understand the importance of all these different things because you've been a supervisor, manager, shift manager, director, and I just did my thing there for a little bit.
That's great. That's
yeah,
awesome.
and then that opportunity, Borgata was interviewing, and I met Jim Riggett, Paul Malo, wonderful people, and
Yes.
and
I didn't know Jim, but I work with Paul. He's one of my idols still to this day.
yeah, rightfully so.
And I always heard about Jim Riggett. But Paul, yes, not over Miguel though, because right now, but Miguel, when you ain't here, I say that.
Yeah.
No.
It's a different kind of thing, right? They're different people with a different perspective.
Yes.
Paul is
Very
just
valuable.
so smart, and
Yes.
and analytical, but
Innovative.
very steeped in culture, though. He really has some firm beliefs on how to treat people, and Jimmy was the same way. They were fun. They wanted to have fun. They worked hard, and and I lucked out there. Actually, Bruce, that's what I did. I went into the training part because they said, hey, given the fact that you have all this management experience, but now you went back to deal, you really understand, the mechanics of all of it. Once again, that we have been away from for a while. We need somebody to write the manuals. We need, and Borgata had a very specific style where they did everything. Bob Bogner, unbelievable visionary there from Boyd Gaming on, how to get this set up and how to, change the view of Atlantic City. I mean, the work they put into this property before they opened was amazing. They talked to all of the people in New York that stopped coming to Atlantic City. Why did you stop coming to Atlantic City?
Interesting.
Yeah, detractors, right? They
Mhm.
built the business around the detractors and how to get them back because there was a real value there. And they built that property and the culture around all of that. Yeah, Bob was something else.
And that's interesting that you, because in my mind, when that was opening, where was I? I think I was, I don't know where I was, but I remember that I was thinking, oh man, that place is going to have a hard time because they haven't opened up a property in so many years. Who knows how to open up a casino there? And I was hearing about who was going back, and I hadn't heard of, Jim Riggett at the time. I hadn't
Yeah.
heard of them. And I said, man, they're going to have a tough time. Turned out I was completely so wrong. That property was probably one of the best, easiest opening properties with ease that I've ever heard of. Maybe internally that about things I don't know, but from the outside, all we heard about was how easy it was to open and quick.
Yeah, it was quick. It was quick. I mean, there was no, you hit the ground running. You know, I mean, Paul got on board pretty early because he had a lot to do. Paul's job was the internal controls and all the equipment ordering and
The salaries, not the salary
yes, setting up
compensation
systems,
packages.
yes, everything like that. I mean,
Mhm.
he was actually on board before Jim
Mhm.
Riggett. So yeah, it was an interesting. Again, that's Bob and how he looked to approach staffing and hiring and that type of thing. But yeah, I came on board there in February, and we opened in first week of July.
Mhm.
So it was boom, 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 boom.
Yes, it's quick.
Yeah, yeah, and it was fun, and hard work but fun.
Yeah.
So
The place has been the number one since it opened.
yeah, yeah, and it
Even
still is, and it still is, and
Mhm.
even
now with MGM, with the new management style and all that, people seem to prefer the Borgata because the Borgata, in my mind, to me, is like a Las Vegas place in Atlantic City. The facility, I mean, not
yes,
the
no, absolutely,
facility itself is the only place in Atlantic City that looks like a Las Vegas property.
Yes.
As soon as you going in, if you drive in, the driveway and all that, it's a Las Vegas.
yeah, it's something. Yeah, I think Hard Rock and Ocean have really
But not,
brought up the boardwalk look.
Yeah.
They really have. They've done their part to bring up the boardwalk look.
Yeah.
But nothing can compete with that look of Borgata.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and and who they are and what they stand for, and again, there's still some great people working there, and it's a heck of a property. Yeah, and I was so fortunate to be part of that, and I went in there as a training manager, and I had I did race book and poker and table games, and then was got promoted to a director in that position there, so was back up in that role once again, which was wonderful. And then I really missed operations. I really did. So and I couldn't go back into operations at Borgata because I had my husband working there and my brother-in-law was there, and then he got married, so my sister-in-law was there. So it was one of those things, and they were all on the operations side. So they had some rules there. So I missed it, and I had this opportunity to to go to Philadelphia, and I had an interview there, and it was pretty interesting. And I thought, well, yeah, I really liked the GM. Her name was Wendy Hamilton, and she was very smart, innovative, and most importantly, I felt like there was a true cultural fit there.
Mhm.
And then I thought, well, there was another opportunity I had in Atlantic City, and I thought, well, what do I want to do? I can stay in Atlantic City and take this other opportunity and, try to fix all these things that are happening at this property, or I can go open a new property and, and make my own way, right?
From the ground
Go
up.
from scratch. And
Sure.
that was it. So that was a no brainer. And I just, that was a once in a lifetime. It really was, to be able to open that property. We had a very small window once again, but I was able to really, through the help of the team there, and pick some really good people to come and open that up that really understood. And it was all people that were able to get a promotion from where they were currently. So they all moved up. So that was exciting for people. And yeah, we put together a great team there.
Now, did you go as training or did you go as ops?
I went as director of table games. Yeah, I went back into ops. Yeah, so that was my opportunity.
Wow.
Yeah, to get back into it. And then yeah, and then I was able to grow there and ended up vice president of gaming. And I had slots and tables and poker, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then I actually stayed with Rush Street and went up to New York and opened up a property for them up in Schenectady, which again was, a great. It's just great learning that and meeting new people. And my goal there was really to try to find people who had moved away from that area, who wanted to move home, so that I could build a good base for them for the future, right, for the long term.
How did you come up with that, Rose?
Well,
What
Turning
inspired you to
Stone, yeah, Turning Stone wasn't that far away.
Mhm.
So I figured, and I know it's important with Rush Street. It was important to them to make sure they had, people in that area that were going to stay, right? They knew I was not going to stay long term there. That was always known, because I was from here and I was going to come back here, and so it was important for me to do the right thing by them. And that would be to try to get a base staff there that was going to stay and grow, because they were moving back home. And so, I mean, we just combed through resumes and, looked at everybody and, saw people that, again, that had been from there, moved away, so we interviewed them. If they were the right fit, we brought them in, and it's great. They're there. A lot of them are still there because they moved home, and they've done a great job there, and that property's thriving up there, which is not easy. Upstate New York's not easy market,
No. My team, the company that I used to work for, they helped open up all the properties that you are mentioning.
Oh, funny.
So it was my team or myself that would go and train, install, and go live. So there's been quite a few properties. In fact, that's how Bruce and I met. And then quite a few of the properties, as you're sitting there talking to me and all the people, like, I know that person. And, oh, I was there when you were there. We were there. We were probably crossing paths, or there were times that when you're talking about training, and Bruce, I think you could probably attest to this as well. Even though I may have come in as a vendor or as the director of training for, MGM or Caesars, sometimes when they come to, or they just go to orientation, we've already hired them, right? I have actually had to go back to the, such as yourself, a VP of the department or the director of the department, and said, this person hasn't made it to orientation on time in the past 3 days. Are you sure you want this person working for you, right? I sure as heck do not, because if they can't make it to orientation, and it's just orientation, right? They're not going to make it at home. And it became one of these, right, you guys, if you are late, because it was the very beginning, if you're late, you owe me a Reese's peanut butter cup. Reese's peanut butter cup was my favorite chocolate. So you better be late getting it to come, to come back to orientation or to class. But that was the same way with grand openings too. If they were not attentive in the training for the vendors, for the equipment that they will be using, for the table games, for the, for the new tables or the visual limit signs or whatever signage that is on your tables, if you are not participative in training on that equipment, I've actually had to go back to the department and go, can this person come to training every day with me until they're done? Because a couple of times, they're brand new, right? Yeah. Or they're just, I got this. This is no big deal, right? And you just know that, no. I can already see, right? I had one person who just said, she just kicked the equipment into its place and went, she goes, yeah, I'm not bending over. I just thought I'd let you know that. That's not what I signed up for. And I went, oh, okay. all right, right. So went to the department and she went, yeah, we've had some issues with her. And I said, so you're keeping her, right? You realize you're not open yet.
And that goes back to Miguel, right? And what you were saying, you have to identify, and it's hard. That's one of the hardest parts of being a leader, is it just is, identifying somebody that needs help but then won't take the help and, just isn't a good fit. I mean, at the end of the day, they're not a good fit. And, having to have that conversation is not easy.
The hard part of too is that there has to be something internal, first of all, of being a good guy, a good person, that's empathetic, good listener, understand, sympathetic at the same time. And it's kind of hard to balance that caring, because people will do anything for you when you show that you care about them. And at the same time, you are focused on the priority at hand, whatever the company focus is, to drive revenue, control costs, all those things. But you have to wear both hats, and it's hard to balance because sometimes you have to be the tough guy. You got to make tough decisions with somebody that you like, but they're just not, and you give them every opportunity. You have to be careful about not being unfair. You want to give everyone the same advantage, of opportunities that, you don't want to give your friend an opportunity that you don't offer to someone else. Just some people play that game that survive very well, but that's not me. And I don't think that was you, Rose. And I know that wasn't Miguel or Hina.
Yeah,
and
there is a difference between someone who is willing to learn, right? When I was in Vietnam opening up a property, I mean, they all wanted to learn. They actually even clocked out and came back and go, okay, we're ready. And I'm like, oh,
yeah, because it took care of their families, because
oh my God, right?
To take care of their family.
Yeah, but there's a difference between somebody who really wants to learn and grow their knowledge and develop and work their way up versus someone who goes, yeah. Well, if this job doesn't work out, let's go get another one. You kind of go, oh, okay, yeah.
You know that term out there, quiet quitting, right? That's the latest buzzword that we keep hearing about, quiet quitting. I laugh about that because in the casino industry, and I would say, especially table games, because the job is very repetitive. Quiet quitting's been a thing for years.
Oh, you mean working, but you're not really there?
Yeah.
Or you're talking about, or leaving the property, or leaving?
No, you're there. You're working. You put in your time.
I'm glad you clarified that, because
okay. It's the latest buzzword out there. It's called quiet
just
quitting.
Clocking in, just clocking in.
Yeah, it's clocking in, clocking out. And I'm thinking, well, that's nothing new.
There's managers that are
they're on cruise control. They're on cruise control while they're working.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not really doing what they're supposed to do. They're not mentoring people. They're not doing their job. You have to do your job. That's what you're getting paid.
But here's the thing, though, with that. And Rose, I know you had a point there, but I don't know if this was in the same realm. But those people that do that, they get by, not noticed. Some managers too, but the person that's a go-getter, they put themselves out there more, and they're susceptible to more, things that can go wrong. If they make a wrong move, it's going to be seen, and they're the ones that people put their attention on, rather than the ones that aren't doing it, what they just hanging out, not doing anything extra. They're just hanging out.
I'll say this, and part of that I understand partly why it happens in table games world, because you are pigeonholed to a degree, and depending on the jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions, that's it. I'm a table game supervisor and I'm not allowed to do this.
Anything else.
And I'm not allowed to do that. And I can't make a decision about this. And I can't. Without meaning to,
not motivating.
Jurisdiction has demotivated that person to step out, to try different things, to be involved. Whereas other jurisdictions, when you get out of, the bigger jurisdictions and you're working, say, on a riverboat, right? When we were out there in Illinois or Indiana, and these smaller regional properties that I've worked at, you have to learn so many different things. You have to.
Mhm.
So, because there's many hats to wear. And
Mhm.
so it ends up making you a much better employee and much more involved,
Knowledgeable.
right? Knowledgeable. And so
Mhm.
with that knowledge, you feel more part of the operation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The regional places really, I think, have a lot to offer for people who want to grow in the business. If
Mhm.
you want to grow, unfortunately nowadays, if you want to grow, you need to be able to move.
Gotta move.
You have to
Yeah.
be mobile,
Yeah.
and that's not always easy for everybody. But if you have that mobility, and you can get into these regional properties, you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn about other departments because you have to, because you're all working together. You're
Yeah.
going to, as a shift manager, you're going to actually, put your people in their positions and make sure the staffing's where it's supposed to be. There's not some giant scheduling office somewhere off at, some corporate headquarters that's doing the scheduling electronically, and that's that.
Yeah.
You're involved. So
Yeah.
it makes you know your staff more, because now you have to know who goes where, because it's on you if you didn't put the right people on the right games. And
Mhm. Mhm.
and just the bonding with whether it's EVS or security, the cage, every department working together. It's just so much more to learn there. So my advice to anybody who really wants to grow in this business is to, get yourself in one of these smaller regional properties where you have to learn more about everything if you can.
Um,
Otherwise you end up just kind of there. Okay, well, I'm here, I'm showing up. They really don't want me to do this, and I can't do that, and I can't do this. So you end up doing nothing. You end up quiet quitting.
yeah. If we can go back just a little bit in regard to the gaming or the jurisdiction, right? There were Illinois was a little, when it came to technology and things like that. So I had a property come and go. We can't get this because IGB just won't. They just won't move, and I've heard that, oh, it's because this is the way it's always been, right? So I am one of those that will fight that fight, because we all know that if there is something that will enhance a table game, or if there is a product that will enhance and make us work smarter versus harder and get us out of that paper, always writing, things like that. So I brought it, I put me together with them, and we did. It took me over a year to get them to really truly understand and really truly compromise, to say, okay, if you want it this way, how about here's option 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as we went back and forth, myself and the gaming regulators, all of a sudden, boom, and we were installing, and we had written the SOPs and the PO, the PMPs, and they said, thank you so much. I said, you're welcome, because, and she was right. She said, we were tunnel vision. This is all we saw. This is all we knew. And no one had the gumption. So
Yeah.
that's how far the age bracket, right? The gumption to even, question us about it or ask us to change it. Right.
Yeah.
And same with Maryland, in Maryland, the state of Maryland, they were this way until, okay, here's how this product works. And here's how we can control all the things that you are worried about going into the new technology. So, I mean, jurisdictional wise, it just,
So it changes. So
let us help you change, right?
Because so again, relationships, I hear every story you guys are saying, and one word pops into my mind, and that's relationships.
And not just at the upper level.
No.
When you think about it, I think I used to tell my son got into business when I was in Florida. And I saw that he was kind of like me. Someone told me coming up through the ages, like, Bruce, being a shift manager or whatever, is like almost being the mayor of a city. You have your constituents. These are your constituents. Think of it like that. And so, but before then, as far as back as I can remember, I always spoke to everybody. I don't care who you work. When I walk down the hall in the back hallway and going to I don't care what department. Hey, how you doing? Hello. Hey, hi, whatever. Hi. Hey, how you doing? It was just my habits, my way. I didn't do it for any particular reason. But unbeknownst to me, it helped me. Because when other people were having meetings in other departments and they said, what about table games? My name came up in the conversation, which was a good thing, you know, because not that there was opportunity all of the time, but I can remember maybe once or twice where they needed a connection with somebody in table games. And my name came up, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, get that loud black guy. He's good for this, you know. No, that's not what they said, but
No.
anyway, but relationships are that's it. That they're premium. And Rose, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, at all levels.
Premium, but you nailed it in that they're premium because everybody counts.
Everybody
Right.
counts.
When you understand that everybody counts,
Yes.
that the relationship isn't just that upward one, right?
Mhm.
You shouldn't just be managing up, you
Mhm.
know, and people do, and people are successful in doing that. But, you know, but at the end of the day, what do you really want your legacy to be? You know, what do you really want? You want to know that you helped anybody and everybody that you could along the way. That's what you want.
Yeah.
The rest doesn't really matter, whether you were dealing and you were helping people, right? Or right, the position, title, all that stuff, you know, doesn't matter as much as what you did for people. You know, if you can help somebody else to have something better for themselves, then you've succeeded. And that's the end of the day. Yeah, it's great, all these other things. And I think that's why I'm enjoying, you know, my latest thing is my little consulting company. And it's been a little over a year and I'm enjoying it because I'm able to go into properties and meet people that I have never met before and understand different, different ways that they do business.
Mhm.
And, you know, because you have to listen, right? You have to listen, really listen to what do they do? How do they do it? Talk to different people, observe, and then you can maybe help them. You know, how do you help them to run their business a little bit differently, maybe a little better? But you know, I learn from them as much as I'm helping to teach them
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
improve their business.
Yeah, it could be a minor, a slight integration
Yeah,
of
yeah.
something. And it's
Mhm.
like paramount. It's like, boom, you
It was
know,
simple, didn't cost them anything, but made them money.
check this out. And you and I are going to relate to this. I got here, Punta Cana, and I'm like a broken record when I say this because I used this before, but you can relate to it too. I introduced Ready App to Miguel. I looked like I was bringing fire to the cave, the people in the cave. It was such a easy fix when you can identify what the situation was. It's guess what?
Yeah.
We got this tool that we used. Boom, this mobile app. And you were telling me we were having a discussion. That was one of your favorite things.
That was one of my favorite things. And it was one of the staff's favorite things because they had an opportunity to directly communicate with somebody, you know, and when you work in a bigger property, that's super important because you feel lost, right? You feel lost. I'm dealing and I have, you know, questions or the carpet around this craps table is horrendous and somebody needs to change it. And, you
would
know,
never hear about that.
oh, who am I supposed to, I see it every day. I'm standing on this game dealing and who am I going to tell? And so through this communication system, you know, they were able to tell those things to somebody. And then, but that only works if the person on the other end who's managing that app does their part and responds. But I thought it was just a great way to keep internal communications going and reach a department that's so big, you know, and give them access to somebody 24/7. Yeah. I made huge use of that.
Me too.
I was all over it. Yeah.
We had training videos on there. We had,
you can put anything on there.
Announcements to the staff or whatever. Who do you want to direct it to? Who do you want to target? You want to target slots? You want to target slots in marketing? You want to target everybody, food and beverage? You had the ability, whoever was they had the access rights to whatever controls they were to broadcast, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely made big use of that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ready App, big fan. Yeah.
Where did you have the most fun at?
Oh gosh.
You won't put anybody out if you don't mention them, but
No, it's right. So you're a different age in each place. So it's a different
you
kind
talking
of.
about me? Are you talking about my age? Who are you talking
On your
about? Me?
decade,
I've
on your
stayed the
decade,
same.
on your
I'm like,
decade.
Who are
I'm
you?
the female Peter Pan.
Who are you directing that at me? Are you directing that at me, Rose? I haven't seen you in years, and you're attacking my age. What's wrong with you?
You got to do a little just for men thing on that.
Oh,
Just had a
I'm
birthday.
loving her every minute.
But you were nice.
Go, Rose. Go, Rose.
I had fun at resorts because I didn't know what the heck I was doing, you know, and you know, times were different then too, right?
Yeah.
So you could go. They let us go up to the Rendezvous Lounge after work. I
You
worked
had
swing
a, you had a card. Didn't you have
You
like
had a card,
a debit
as a
card
dealer.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, those
So
days
I
are
mean, that
gone.
was something. Yeah, and then you know, I had fun at Bally because again, same thing. You know, I was young and working
Bill-
swing shift, and
Billy's Pub.
yeah, Billy's Pub.
I used to play up there with a
No
group.
way.
Yeah, yes, I did. I was a bass player, and I used to play up in with a group
Wow.
from Lake Tahoe there. Yeah,
Oh my God.
Billy's Pub. And remember Freddie Empire?
Yeah.
He was a showman, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh my God. And then I went to
Doing
day
the
shift
splits.
and,
And all that.
you would know you would know like what song was coming on or what time of the day.
The same.
because they all-
Yeah, it's the same.
you
every
could
day.
hear them all. Yeah, you could hear it in the whole casino. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun. But
Yeah.
me, I had to see that was the thing. That kind of stumped my growth, I think, because I was having such a great time in the beat because I felt privileged to be in the business, first of all.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in the nightclub every night, pretty much. If you
Yeah.
work swing, and I always work swing shift, you know, the best always work that night, you know, I mean, the
Yeah.
strongest. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm just kidding. I'm
What
just
was-
kidding.
Remember the old saying, "Oh, the weak are off on the weekend."
Yeah, yes, yeah.
They tried to make you feel okay
If-
about having to work the weekend.
Yeah, if
Oh,
you-
don't worry, you got scheduled the weekend.
If
You're
you didn't
good.
work, if you didn't work on the weekends and holidays, that means they didn't really need you, you know.
That's right.
Right. But I had so much fun that when I went to Vegas and my GM wanted to promote me to a director's position, he said, "Bruce, but you have to get serious. Come on, smack. Don't say that. You can't say that." And it took me a minute, but as I got into those positions of more responsibility and not just responsibility to me, to myself, I knew other people were looking to me to impact their lives in a positive way. So I knew that was taking on a serious responsibility, and it just like that overnight,
Yeah.
it hit me, Bruce, get serious.
Yeah.
Those decisions you're making are going to affect how a person is able to get to work, whether it's their transportation, their shift that it's going to affect their shift in their home, childcare.
Yeah.
They have two working parents in the household, you know, then they change off on babysitting duties and all these types of things people came to you with. And you said, and first I said, well, if I do it for you, I got to do it for everybody. But you know what? Do it.
Do it for
Do
everybody.
it.
It's
Do it
okay.
for everybody. Do it for
Yeah.
them and do it for everybody else. And
Yeah.
man, that really opened my eyes to really how to manage and take care of people, you know. And those are the things that when you grow, you have to take in consideration. And I think about people that you came through your system, you know, Charlene Ripley,
Yeah.
who came down to Tampa, who's now in California, opening a
Yeah.
property of her own. And someone that didn't work with you, but she now is the VP of table games in Tampa, Stacy Gallo. I don't know if you've ever met her. You may have
Yes,
heard of her.
absolutely. Yes.
Talking about two people that I just mentioned who are so caring about people.
Oh, very
and
much
extend themselves to making sure and listening, what you just now said, listening and to impact their lives. And that's their success. That's why they will be very successful.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, good for Stacy. I didn't know that. That is excellent news.
Yeah.
So I would say, you know, yeah, I had fun at every property to answer your question. And I'm not, you know, I don't, it's true. But a different kind of fun at different places. A pre-opening to me is always fun. I get a big rush out of that because you're working really hard, but then you can have a lot of laughs along the way, you know?
Mhm.
And yeah, so I don't, there wasn't any, there wasn't any place that, opening that wasn't fun or, didn't remain fun. If I felt like I wasn't, if I felt like I was starting to not like see the fun in it along with the hard work, then it would be okay. Well, what else is out there? What else can I do?
I think this was either Paul's or I forget the other person's idea. Their idea was to take the director who he wasn't a ball breaker, but he was kind of like, no, they were a good guy. But for some reason, the VP wanted to prank the director. So he got all of us together while the director was out of their office. And we took every piece of furniture we could find in the scheduling office and the shift manager's offices and the conference room and piled it up in the director's office, stacked it on top of each other. So when they opened the door, they walked in like, holy shit. And we knew that their response was going to be a lot of F-bombs because F-bombs were like the second words that came out their mouth. And it was hilarious because it went perfectly to plan, So those kind of moments are, when I say fun, those are priceless,
Yeah, those little things. I think we wrapped Paul's office one time. I think we wrapped his whole office in saran wrap.
Oh,
That's probably why he came up with it. See, so see what you started.
But yeah, the little things you try to do to take, because you're working so hard and it can get very intense, and so you have to have those moments where you can have a release without hurting anybody, and just having fun. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else I did that I thought was very interesting, and not everybody gets a chance to do, on our side, on the operations side, is I stepped out of casinos entirely and I went onto the vendor side, which, Hina, you can appreciate. You've been in several sides there. And that to me was very interesting in itself. And I really learned quite a bit, about the vendor side of the industry and how it works and, the importance of things. And more than anything else, how hard they work at G2E. When you're a vendor at G2E, it's, as an operator going to G2E, it's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to go to the gaming show and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to dinner with this group. And then I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to see this. I'm going to have a meeting with this vendor, that vendor. Well, when you're on the vendor side, whoa-wee, it is hard work. It is.
But when I was on the ops side too, though, working for MGM and Caesars, I was just like you. It's like, we have this, and it got to the point of I cannot do one more party, I cannot do one more meeting, I cannot do one more dinner, I can't eat one more thing. It was like, but it was, I mean, on both sides, but it's so much fun. It really is, and it on the operator side, I enjoyed meeting people left and right. Right. Especially working for Caesars and MGM, you're dealing with so many people, right? And so many properties. And then hop onto the vendor side after leaving Caesars, you just kind of go, I know you, and I know you, and I know you. Oh my gosh, right? So it was home to me when I went on the vendor side.
Rose, will you be at G2E this year?
I will, yeah. I am going to be G2E this year, yeah.
So you'll get the chance to meet Hina. Hina, you'll get the chance to meet Rose. And
absolutely.
Who's taking who to dinner? I just want to know.
I'll be more than happy to take her to dinner. Are you kidding me? Are you not boothing? You're walking the show, correct?
I'm walking the show, but I am assisting a couple of vendors that I've been involved with. So I will be at a couple of the vendors' booths for a little bit.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
good.
yeah,
okay, I'll email you and see where you're at, and then we'll get together.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been great, Rose. We can go forever, and I gotta say this, that we're gonna have to wrap it up. We have a hard stop, but I'm gonna tell you this. You sent something out on LinkedIn the other day, and it immediately blew up the responses. Like we're over a couple of hundred within minutes. People responded to you. There's so many people that you've affected in a positive way. And you said before about, your legacy, about what you want to be remembered for. And I don't think you'll have a problem there at all from what I see, Rose. And I remember good things about you. And but so many people responded, and they're so excited about seeing this podcast. And we hope that you pass this on and encourage people to share and like it, whether or not. But just the fact that to have you on, to speak about your story, it's going to help somebody else, you know. And
I really appreciate you reaching out, all of you, and just a real pleasure speaking with you. You know, there's a lot of good people. I still love our business. I think it's a really cool business, you know. I think and look at how much it's grown. You know, there's all these different ways to get involved with iGaming now and sports betting and you know, there's again all the vendor sides that are growing. There's so many different branches of our industry that nobody should ever feel pigeonholed. You know, nobody should ever feel pigeonholed. You know, stand up, look around, and see what sparks you, and go for it.
And I see so many guys that were guys, and I say guys meaning guys and girls who were.
You're from Jersey. That's what we say.
That's what we say. Yeah, come on, guys.
Hey, guys. Yeah.
And but that who have now, when I left, they were supervisors and dealers. Now they're pit bosses and some shift managers and so forth. And these properties that are opening up in Portsmouth and the other Hard Rock properties that are opening in Sacramento, and there's so many. Well, there's so much underemployment as well. There's opportunities galore out there, and we just spoke about the $100 million increase in salaries that Hard Rock just, you know, Jim Allen and those guys just approved.
Incredible,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. We hope that it starts something new.
I mean, you had said about, you know, it kind of reminded you of Wynn, you know, right? Giving every employee the car in Atlantic
City.
City. Yeah. And so here he is, you know, Jim Allen, modern day Wynn.
It's
incredible. That was just an incredible announcement.
Yeah.
So,
well, we can't thank you enough, Rosemarie. And I tell you, I love seeing you and seeing Don.
No, the appreciation's mine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So much.
Yeah.
Thank you, and having you with us here, and let's stay in touch.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Cook Consulting LLC. That's great. We hope that we can hopefully collaborate on some projects with Maura Harris Consulting.
You never know.
We are.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So we'll hope to talk to you again soon. Once again, Rose Cook.
It's all good. It's all good. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Talk to you soon.
Adios. Take care, Rose.
Bye.
Have a fabulous day.
You too.
Aw, that was amazing.
Very nice. Very
That was
cool.
amazing.
I like
I
Rose.
can't wait to meet up with her during G2E.
Remember, we said this was in memory of Bruce King, this particular episode, and Rose is doing some incredible things out there. She's a phenomenal leader, has a lot of knowledge in her business, is still growing, Cook Gaming LLC. So reach out to her, reach out and make sure you subscribe to Cheques Play Casino Podcast. I'm Bruce Harris.
I'm Hina Reed.
I'm Miguel Mora, and remember, share, like, and subscribe. We're looking forward to having you with us here.
SLS.
All
All right. Have an amazing aloha day and aloha week, guys.
Thanks, Rose.
Another amazing podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rose. We are one. Let's do it.
Let's do it.